They spent years pretending I didn't exist. Years acting like my presence didn't matter. Years reserving their love, praise, and attention for everyone except me. But the day my $7 million deal appeared on the news, suddenly I was family again. Funny how money has a way of reminding people that you exist. I wish they knew I wasn't the same girl they used to overlook. I still remember that graduation night. The lights in the hall were bright. Families cheering, cameras flashing, people screaming their kids' names with pride. The kind of moment every child waits for. And me? I walked on stage quietly, smiling like everything was fine. Because right in front of me were 4 empty chairs. Seats with "reserved for Carter family" tags. Seats that stayed empty from beginning to end. Not because of some emergency, not because they couldn't make it, but because they forgot. The applause felt like background noise. I looked at those empty seats one last time before stepping down. But the truth is, I had grown up with empty seats my whole life. At award ceremonies, they were empty. At birthdays, they were empty. Whenever I achieved something, they were empty. The only time those seats weren't empty was when it came to my brother, Ethan. Ethan, the golden boy, the business prodigy, the son who could do no wrong. My parents looked at him like he hung the stars. Me? I was the one who helped him finish his projects while he played video games. He won trophies. I wrote the presentations. He got praise. I got silence. And then there was Grace, my sister, the angel of the family. She once made a pot of noodles and almost burnt the kitchen, yet everyone clapped like she was the next Michelin chef. Meanwhile, on my 17th birthday, I cooked my own dinner because Grace said she wasn't in the mood. That was the story of my life. I only mattered when someone needed something. When college ended, I told my family I wanted to go into real estate. I loved old buildings. I believed damaged things deserved a second chance. Maybe because deep down, I wanted one too. My father laughed. Not the soft kind of laugh, the mocking kind. Real estate? You? It's too risky. Just go work under Ethan. He'll take care of you. I didn't argue. There was no point arguing with people who had already decided who you were. So I worked quietly. 2 jobs, long nights, cheap food, heavy textbooks. You know that type of grind that hurts but keeps you alive? I lived that for years. I made mistakes, lost money, cried in bathrooms, failed more times than I can count. But every time I fell, I got up again because no one else was going to pick me up. And then the impossible happened. One morning, I received an email that made my hands shake. My proposal to rebuild an abandoned waterfront district had been accepted. A deal worth $7 million. My knees almost buckled. I sat on the ground and cried for 10 minutes straight. Not because of the money, but because for the first time in my life, I felt seen. Even if the ones who never saw me still didn't know. Within days, the local news ran a story on me. Young woman revives historic waterfront district. My picture was everywhere. Neighbors sent flowers. Old friends congratulated me. Even people I barely knew wrote long messages. But my family? Not a single call. Not a single text. Not even a "well done." Until that evening. My phone buzzed. A message from the family group chat. A chat where I was usually ignored. Family meeting, 7 p.m. Important. No congratulations, no pride, just an order. I stared at the screen for a moment. I already knew what was coming. When I walked into my parents' huge dining room, they were all sitting there, waiting. Suddenly, everyone was nice. Too nice. My mother hugged me like she hadn't forgotten every major moment of my life. My father used a tone of pride he had never used before. Grace complimented my dress like we were close. But Ethan, he looked uneasy. He cleared his throat. His voice cracked. His company was failing. A major project had collapsed. Investors pulled out. Banks refused them. And then he said it. We need your help. Not advice, not guidance, not support. My money. Grace added, you should feel honored we trust you with something this big. Honored. As if saving their collapsing empire was a gift. I didn't react. I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. Instead, I opened the folder I brought with me and placed it on the table. Inside were documents. Property documents. Ethan frowned. Dad leaned forward. Grace's smile vanished. It was the ownership deed for the abandoned shipping dock district, the exact location Ethan's project desperately needed to survive. The same property he'd failed to acquire. The same property every developer wanted. The same property that could save or destroy his project. And I had bought it. Silently, completely, legally. The room froze. No one spoke. Not even Mom. Ethan's voice trembled. You own this? It took everything in me not to say, you never asked where I was all those nights I came home late. Now you know. For the first time ever, I wasn't the background girl, the fixer, the invisible one. I finally spoke. All these years, you only noticed me when something needed fixing, when someone failed, when someone needed a backup plan. But I'm not your backup plan. Not anymore. You could hear the air leave the room. I closed the folder and stood. I didn't build all this to save you. I built it to save myself. My father called my name. I didn't turn back. My mother reached for my arm. I stepped away. I walked out of that house feeling lighter than I had ever felt, like I'd just cut off a weight I'd carried since childhood. Later that night, a text appeared on my phone from Mom. We didn't realize how much you needed us. Please come home. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty choosing myself. I drove to the waterfront, my waterfront, walked onto the dock I now owned. The city lights danced on the water, and I felt a peace I never knew. Because sometimes the people who ignore you will be the same ones who need you later. And sometimes the greatest comeback is finally understanding that you were never the problem. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt unseen, ever felt like your worth depended on someone else's approval, I hope this story reaches you at the exact moment you needed it. Tell me where you're listening from.